The Azerbaijan Grand Prix wasn't exactly a classic, especially considering the fact that in Baku, more often than not, there's been a propensity for some degree of chaos, and you've not really had repeat winners in the race in a hurry. In fact, it's one of those races where unpredictability always reigns. But the 2023 edition will go down as history as probably one of the more mundane, boring races in the history of this particular Grand Prix. There have been worse ones, but as far as Baku is concerned, this is probably the most uneventful race, and that's saying something considering there was an early safety car incident that did actually threaten to shake the order up a little bit. None of that came to fruition, but if you a day prior and there was the sprint race which took place, sprint shootout as well as a sprint race, there was a bit of an issue in the sprint race between two drivers who are seen to be as the future of the sport, Max Verstappen and George Russell. Now, the incident stems from an overtake attempt which was made, and we'll go into details as to what exactly happened in that incident, what were the reactions from both the drivers, and more importantly, is any of this a bit of an overreaction? First, let's look at what exactly the incident was. Now, it started on the first lap of the sprint itself. Russell went for an overtake move which was there on Verstappen. He went down the inside line, had the racing line, and then ended up holding off. But in the process of kind of holding his ground, he did end up actually making some contact with Verstappen, and truth be told, if you look back at it, you'd realize that Verstappen was on the outside line, so probably should have yielded at that point to Russell, and because he had the inside line and more importantly the racing line. There was a bit of contact, and one of Verstappen's side pod ended up damaged in the entire process as well. So clearly there was not much love lost between the drivers afterwards, and in fact even on team radio there were some pretty angry exchanges between Verstappen and his engineers because Verstappen felt that that should have been looked at further. There was no punishment dished out by the stewards, but clearly he wasn't very happy afterwards, as evidenced by the kind of exchange that they had after the race was done. And the couple of notable points which we made. One of them was when Russell was trying to defend himself. He said that, look, I had no grip, my tires were very cold. You can look at the onboard cameras and you can understand that I didn't have much grip. Verstappen said, mate, we all have no grip, you need to leave a bit of space. Well, you can expect next time the same. And that's Verstappen's way of saying that if this is how you're going to race me, then in the future, if I'm in that position, that is how I'm going to race you. Now, the real question is, why exactly this outburst of anger? Because again, Verstappen has in the past been accused of unsafe driving. And what's worse is that Verstappen kind of doubled down on it when speaking to Dutch media, because he referred to George as Princess George, saying that should I not hold my line because Princess George is on the inside line? Well, to that, I would at least say yes, it's a bit of a storm in the teacup, and that's putting it politely. Why? First off, the stewards had the freedom to investigate it. It was noted, but deemed a racing incident, so no further action was taken. And you can really make a pretty convincing argument that both of these drivers were at fault. How? Because whilst Russell was in fact on the inside line, he could have left a little bit more space for Verstappen. Conversely, Verstappen, knowing full well that the racing line was not his at that point, since Russell had overtaken him and was more than a car or half a car's length ahead of him, should have yielded and let Russell go past. And actually, it would have made no difference to Verstappen at that point, because he had the quicker car. He could have not only caught Russell just on pure straight line speed, but once DRS was there, he could have zoomed past him pretty easily. So it really does raise the question as to, is such finger pointing really necessary? For me, I say no. This is one of those incidents where it did seem like it might be a little over the line, but was rightly deemed to be a racing incident because there was no malice involved. Both drivers had the right to do what they did. One of them could have pulled out slightly before, neither of them chose to, and there was a coming together. It's a racing incident. Stuff like this happens. That being said, there's been no real history in terms of these drivers really having problems with each other in the past. But right now, considering the fact that neither of them are even competing for the same thing, this may very well be a one-off. However, going forward, if you reach a point where Mercedes have a title-winning car and Russell is the one going up against someone like a Verstappen, can expect this to very well be seen as the genesis of what could be a future rivalry, assuming of course we do get to see that rivalry some point in the future. That being said though, it's better we enjoy it rather than unnecessarily just trying to indulge who was at fault, because both of them raced pretty hard, but both of them also raced pretty fair. And this is just one of those incidents which sadly shouldn't have been one, was made one, and hopefully after this, it all dies down and you see some hard fair racing from both these drivers as well as the rest of the grid. That's my take on it. How you guys feel? Well, you can let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Don't forget to download the AajTak app as well. Plus, if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos that we've done. For now, from my side, goodbye.